I'm here with Nolan Clay making his debut on College Press Box. Are you nervous, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It was such an electric weekend at F1 this weekend. So many fans, such a great race. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and after a very eventful weekend at the Circuit of Americas, who would you pinpoint as the biggest winners of the weekend?
Yeah, this is an extremely tough question to answer as there were many impressive performances this weekend, but there's no doubt that the biggest winner of the weekend has to be Team Ferrari. After a rather disappointing sprint race from Ferrari, they were able to blow away the field from start to finish in the Grand Prix as drivers Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz finished 1-2. This result puts Ferrari only 48 points behind McLaren in the Constructors' Championship, and if Ferrari can keep up the pace shown on Sunday, there is no reason they can't give McLaren and Red Bull a run for their money. My second biggest winner of the week has to be the sprint race winner and individual points leader, Max Verstappen. Not only did he pick up key points by winning the sprint race, he also finished ahead of title rival Lando Norris in the Grand Prix, further increasing his lead over him in the individual standings. What once looked like a title that would be Lando's to lose is now looking a bit more far-fetched, which is a very welcoming sight for Max Verstappen. With 5 races left and a 57-point lead over Norris, it's getting harder and harder to envision a scenario where Max Verstappen isn't holding his 4th straight World Drivers' Championship trophy in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, now going to the other side of the spectrum, who do you think were the biggest losers of the weekend?
Yeah, there were a couple shocking performances this weekend, but the disaster class by Team Mercedes takes the cake. Straight from the get-go on Friday, you could tell that Mercedes drivers George Russell and Lewis Hamilton were struggling with the car. After a mediocre sprint race finishing 5 and 6, it only got worse for Mercedes as Lewis Hamilton would proceed to qualify in 19th out of 20th, and George Russell crashed, forcing him to start the Grand Prix from the pit lane. While George Russell did have a really solid race, climbing back up to 6th place, Lewis Hamilton did not find the same success as he ended up spinning out of the race on only lap 2. Overall, a disaster week for Mercedes. The other big loser of the weekend for me has to be Sergio Perez from Team Red Bull. While Lando Norris did have his World Championship hopes take a hit this week, at least he knows he has a job next season. Perez can't say the same thing. Simply put, finishing 7th and letting George Russell, who started from the pit lane, finish ahead of you is really embarrassing. With Sergio continuing to struggle and young guns like Franco Colapinto, Liam Lawson, and Yuki Tsunoda impressing fans, Perez can find himself driving for a much worse team next year.
Yeah, I definitely think job security is a pretty big marker of how you're doing on the racetrack. But with only 5 races left on the calendar, who do you think will win the Constructors' Championship and the World Drivers' Championship?
Yeah, with Ferrari finding late season form, the Constructors' both races have gone a bit more interesting. Starting with the Constructors' Championship, I think this will come down to Ferrari and McLaren, with Red Bull falling behind because they're simply not getting enough from Sergio Perez. While I think Ferrari will take it to the final race, I think McLaren will, with the depth of their 2 incredible drivers, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, and their 48-point lead over Ferrari will prove to be too much for the Italian team in the end. When it comes to the World Drivers' Championship, it seems like a clear 2-horse race between Verstappen and Norris. If you asked me who would take the title before this weekend, I would have told you Lando Norris would pull through. But after this weekend, give me Max Verstappen. Red Bull has seemed to find some much-needed pace to keep up with the McLaren car, and with the experience and poise of a driver of Verstappen's caliber, I think that would be just enough to see him take the title for the 4th straight season. However, F1 is unpredictable, and I'm eager to see if this already incredible season has another twist up its sleeve.
Yeah, and I heard it was a pretty star-studded weekend. Did you see any celebrities from y'all's seats?
I did not personally, but I know there was some really a lot of great celebrities there.
Brad Pitt, Serena Williams.
Yeah, I saw those videos. Unfortunately, from my view, I couldn't see it, but it was such a great weekend anyways. Yeah. I'm not disappointed at all.
Yeah, dang. Maybe next race. But shout out also TSTV alum Alyssa King and Samantha Pearl. I know they'll be excited that we had an F1 segment. But thank you, Nolan, and we'll send it back to the desk for Devin.
Thank you.